What is going on, everybody? Welcome to your opening drive episode of The Coach and the Couch Potato. As always, I am Jeremy the Couch Potato. Opposite side of the screen, we got Coach Slate. We are here courtesy of the Barn Baseball and Softball Academy. Got a couple things to dive into tonight. We got a big boom today, and then we got some depth piece booms from the portal this week. We saw a big-time Ohio State target commit elsewhere. The portal is essentially done and closed as far as guys that we were watching. So we'll kind of dive into what that leads to concern-wise. And then we got some Coach Day presser notes. So we'll jump into it right with the good news. Kayden Dixon-Wyatt, 4-star wide receiver, modern day high school, teammate of Chris Henry Jr. That's scary.
Yeah, man. This is a huge get. You text me boom earlier today, and I should have known something was up last week when Jeremiah Smith tweeted out something about some surprise that was coming. So I should have known that something was up. But this is a major get. You're talking about a 6'2", 190-pound kid, very smooth, athletic receiver that can go up and get it. He can line up on the outside. He can line up in the slot. He's very much Carnell Tate-like. And when I watch the film, when I watch his highlights, that is what I see. He may have a little bit more burst, maybe a little bit more speed than Carnell. But gosh, when I see it, I see what they saw in Carnell Tate. Just a lot of talent. Obviously, you're bringing him in the same class as Chris Henry Jr. You're talking about a kid that's going to be hard to keep him off the field as a true freshman. Like that is what you're going to run into. And so now you're talking about, we've said it in so many episodes, it's going to be hard to stack 4- and 5-star guys back to back, but somehow this dude, Brian Hartline, keeps making it happen. And so to get this guy in this class, I mean, it's a great get. This is a guy that can see the field very early. Just a really good football player that can go get it from a powerhouse program in modern day. Just a really good get for the Buckeyes. And man, that receiver room is just going to continue to be loaded.
I saw something today. So I actually watched his announcement. I watched the interview afterwards. Real quick, the kid is the 107th prospect in the 247 composite, number 15 wide receiver, number 15 player in the state of California. But I watched his interview, and he's a very soft-spoken kid.
Yeah.
But he kept talking about how if you want to be elite, you go to Ohio State as a receiver.
Yep.
So I was looking through, and obviously the big competition for him was Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
And on 247, when you look down the little list of schools, it lists how many guys they currently have at that position. And I think I figured out how Hartline is so successful. Ohio State has 10 receivers, essentially. Oregon has 16.
Wow.
I mean, that's a big number.
Yeah.
You come in and you can only have 4 or 5 receivers on the field at a time.
Yeah.
And that's not very frequently.
Yeah.
So Hartline has done such a good job of identifying his guys. We've got 4 guys in the 26 class.
Yeah.
And they're all different.
They're all different.
And you're going to bring these guys into a room with Jeremiah, Mylan Graham, perhaps Brandon Ennis still. I think Carnell Tate will be gone. I think he's going to be a first-round pick. It's scary. And it got brought up. I was listening to Bill Kurelic after the commitment, and there's a kid from Fort Wayne that's a receiver that he thinks Ohio State would probably take to give them 5.
Yeah.
So it's really crazy. Numbers wise, this kid's numbers don't jump off the chart, but you got to realize modern day is a very balanced pro style, run the ball as much as they throw it. Chris Henry Jr. was hurt last year.
Yep.
50 grabs, 693 yards, 5 touchdowns. But on a balanced squad playing really tough competition, that's really good.
That's really good. And the other part of it too is like modern day produces pretty much nothing but Division I talent. And so there are other Division I receivers that he's playing with too. So that ball is being spread out. And so the number of touches that you're getting is going to be, limited. And so the fact that he's getting the ball that many times lets you know how impactful they think he is in that offense. And again, you talk about what Coach Hartline is doing when it comes to recruiting. When we talked about Coach Bowen when he got here, we offensive line wise, we need to cast a wider net. The one thing that Brian Hartline is able to do because of the culture that he's built in that room and all the things that he's done, he's able to be very selective with who he brings into that room. And that has been like the difference between the two philosophies, right? Justin Fry hadn't built that relationship or that culture in that room, so he couldn't necessarily be as selective, right? And so as you see, if Tyler Bowen sticks around for a while and he continues to get these top guys, especially in the state of Ohio, you're going to see that he can start being selective as well, but that's got to continue to build over time. Whereas Brian Hartline has now established that culture. He's had multiple first-round draft picks, and now it's just the precedent. You go to Ohio State if you are an elite receiver, right? And so he can go after those elite guys and continue to get 3, 4, 5 guys and pinpoint those guys in each class. And so it's just phenomenal what he's doing. Like I've not seen something like this before. And like, it's truly a cultural thing. I can't even wrap my head around it, man. It just comes down to culture, and it's phenomenal what he keeps doing, man. And so shout out to Coach Hartline and Coach Jordan, man. It's a great thing to see.
Well, you hit on the culture of that room. Real quick little diversion here. Reese Stockdale, who was, a transfer portal guy, but a guy who all the current guys loved, committed to Bowling Green tonight.
Yeah.
And Coach Hartline's got his commitment graphic on his Instagram story, like still backing these dudes, even though they've gone on to find opportunity. And that's a big gift for Eddie George. Let's not downplay that either. Reese Stockdale, you're building a program. What better way to bring a guy from arguably the most NFL comped room in the country? So
yeah. And real quick sidebar. I'm glad you brought that up with Reese Stockdale. Like that, I'm really happy for him. He's a guy that's been, such a great member of that room as a walk-on, just a glue guy, culture guy that the scholarship guys really respect. I just want to give some love to Coach Day for the way that he's handling the scholarship restriction limbo that they're in. They don't know, which this was news to me. I didn't know that this is where they were at. I thought the 105 was set in stone, but I found out last week through some information with one of my former players that's on the team, they still don't know if they're at that limit or not. And so they had to tell the walk-ons, hey, like, we don't know if we are going to be at 105 or if we're going to be at our normal, hey, here's our 85, and then we can have as many walk-ons as we can. So we're going to encourage you to go into the portal. And, if we're able to have as many walk-ons, we want you back. But I encourage you to go seek out other opportunities if that's not the case, because they're in limbo. And so I just want to give Coach Day his flowers for looking out for what's best for the players and the rest of the coaching staff, because that's not an easy thing to do. You're in limbo. These are guys that they want around to help run their scout teams and do different things, but you don't know if they're going to be able to be around, because you do have to think about making cuts, and that sucks. But you also have to understand you've got to do what's best for the kids, like a guy like Reese Stockdale, right? Like, I want you around, but I don't know what my scholarship limits are. So how is the NCAA not figured this out yet?
Right.
How are these things being put in the hands of these judges, and we still don't have answers yet? How does Coach Day and all these programs not know what the scholarship limits are? And we're in May. Like, I don't understand that. It's mind-blowing. So shout out to the coaches who are out there doing right by these walk-ons, who are giving everything to these programs, because it is not an easy thing to do. And it just sucks that these programs are in this position where they don't know what the scholarship limits are yet. It just sucks. And I hate to see it happen, but I just appreciate coaches who do the right thing.
Yeah, and actually Day talked about that a little bit when he said they're planning to be at 90 scholarship players, which would fall under that 105 total cap.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
It's nuts, man.
But I guess welcome to the new day and age.
Yeah.
So we got the good news with Kayden Dixon-Wyatt this week. Excuse me, a little bit of not surprising bad news. A guy we've talked about, and we talked about it during spring. He showed up late spring, but he hadn't been there before or during any other spring practices. And then his dad comes out with a tweet, basically laying the groundwork for Elbert Hill is not going to be at Ohio State. Elbert Hill commits to USC. I'm not going to knock the kid. He's doing what he feels is best for him, but nobody goes to play defense for Alex Grinch. I mean,
oh man.
Let's just, we'll let you do with that as you will. Obviously we had Victor Singleton in Ohio, and he went to Illinois, and now he's committed to A&M.
Yeah.
Again, do with that as you will. But I trust OG Walt. I think, let's just be honest, I think there are national kids that OG Walt has higher ranked, which is why Ohio State did not push for those two. And where I'm going with this is you're going to start to see commitments pick up, I think. I think, a lot of kids want to get it done before senior season. So you look at who's next. And the guy I think is next to pop is a corner. And I think it's Jordan Thomas from New Jersey. He's ranked number 16 in the cornerback class, I think. Right there with where Elbert Hill was, a little bit below Vic Singleton. But, again, I trust OG Walt.
Yeah, I'm always going to root for us bringing in Ohio guys, but we live in a world where the Big Ten is now a nationwide conference where it spreads from the East Coast to the West Coast. So these guys are looking at this where I'm going to have the opportunity to go play in LA and make a lot of money, but I'm still going to be able to play the majority of my games in this current time zone, right? And so like there is still that, that dynamic of like I want to go out and make a lot of money, and I still want to be able for my family to see me. And I don't know if he grew up a Buckeye fan. I don't know these things, but
Right.
The kids are just exposed to so much more. There are going to be kids that we miss out on. That's just a part of it. I personally think Elbert Hill is a dog. I think the Buckeyes, if he were wanting to commit to the Buckeyes, I personally think they would have taken him. Because I think he is that good.
Absolutely.
I think he is that good. And I think USC was able to offer him immediate playing time. I really do, because their defense has struggled. I think USC is able to offer him a lot of money and make him a top priority. And I think it's a depth chart thing too. I think he's able to look at our depth chart and see like, okay, Devin Sanchez, okay, Aaron Scott, okay, Bryce West, okay, Jermaine Matthews probably coming back for another year, okay, like it's going to be a battle for me to see the field early. Like, maybe I'm going to go take a look at these other options as well. And so, listen, I wish him the best. I hope he does well. I don't know if he'll win a lot of games at USC. Could be wrong. But hey, it's just the way that it goes sometimes. And I wish every kid in Ohio would come to Ohio State and be a Buckeye, but that's just not the case all the time. Like you said, I trust OG Walt. I know that he's going to land some premier talent from across the country. And, it is what it is. We'll go out and recruit and get the best that we can. And I think BIA, no matter what, it's going to be in good hands.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Jordan Thomas will be next. I think probably June or July this summer, I think you will see Favor a key commit. A lot of people think Favor is not a take, and I think they're wrong.
Yeah.
You're talking about a kid who has vaulted to the number 6 ranked running back in the country. I understand you're big game hunting with Hyler and those guys, but you take a kid that's in your backyard that's that good.
Absolutely.
So we'll see there. Couple portal commitments this week. One is a depth piece, but there's a long-term plan at play there, I think, and that's Grant Mills, long snapper from North Carolina. He'll be a walk-on at Ohio State. 4 years of eligibility. Excuse me. But we needed a backup long snapper. We had one long snapper on the roster.
Yeah. That is something that I think it's a position that obviously often gets overlooked. It's such a crucial piece that if I had a son, I would want them to learn how to be a long snapper, because it is such a vital piece to special teams, obviously the punt team, short snapping on field goal and PAT. It's just something that is a specific skill that is needed on every football team. And so getting somebody else in here to provide depth behind who we have, I believe we just had a long snapper go into the portal as well. And so this was good to bring somebody else in. Again, not knowing what the scholarship restrictions, limitations, roster size, all those different things, we needed to go get somebody. And so I'm glad that we were able to bring somebody in. Yeah,
for sure. And then the second ad out of the portal this week was Jackson. I'm going to butcher his last name, Corville. Kicker from Ball State via Centerville. Has 2 years of eligibility left. There's a chance he redshirts this year.
Okay.
11 of 13 on field goals last year, but he was 2 for 2 from 50 or more. Jaden Fielding, end of the year, great. Had the miss in the Michigan game, but the playoff run was great. But he was also hurt.
Yeah.
So, and as a kicker, obviously, if you have a hip issue, that's not good.
Yeah.
So having a guy like this come on, because we did have the one walk-on kicker go in the portal as well, just gives you, again, some depth.
Yeah. Adding more depth, bringing another leg in, somebody who's got a strong leg that can kick it from 50 yards. I think that's huge. We need that. We need that weapon. You talked about him possibly redshirting. Even if he doesn't, just bringing in more competition for Jaden, I think is good. Coach Keys, Coach Gunner out there doing their thing, getting these special teams guys in here. Just a vital piece to the puzzle, man. And so I'm glad that we're bringing in some competition for Jaden, especially somebody who's got a strong leg that can make it from 50.
Yeah. So bringing those two guys in out of the portal. Also, kind of, I guess you would say, the bad news on the portal front. Justin Kirkman, defensive tackle from Oklahoma State, commits to BYU, who the BYU's NIL game is legit. The owner of the Utah Hockey Club, they're calling it now, the expansion team, I think, in the NHL, is the BYU NIL donor.
Okay.
So big time money there. So with him going to BYU, as far as guys that you would say are starting caliber D tackles at Ohio State, the door's pretty much shut.
Yeah.
Pending anybody coming out as a grad transfer.
Yeah.
So I really want to let you do a deep dive into the defensive tackle concerns and kind of give us a Cliff's Notes, because you're going to hear a lot of lingo when it comes to defensive tackles.
Yeah.
That, you have a nose and a 3-tech.
Yeah.
We're loaded at 3-tech.
Yeah, we are.
But nose is where we're weak.
Yeah. So, we just go back to the spring game. We heard Coach Day talk about the offensive line had a lot of knockback, right? And as a defensive line coach, that's not something that you want to hear when they're talking about, an offensive line and your defensive line. And so when you talk about the state of where we are right now, numbers wise, we have bodies, we have guys who can play, but it's just a lot of unproven guys. You think about last year and the years prior, we had, the ties, right? We had Ty Hamilton, and then we had Big Ty Leak. Okay. Ty Hamilton played the nose guard for us, and Ty Leak was our 3 technique. Well, Ty Leak was actually a 3 technique, or a nose guard body, right? And Ty Hamilton was actually a 3 technique body, but they were just reversed in roles. Okay. Typically, your one technique, your shade, your nose guard is going to be the bigger body. That is going to be Cade McDonald for us this year. This is going to be that big 320, 330-pound big body who's going to eat the A gap, that's going to keep Sonny, Arvell, whoever they have playing that Mike linebacker. They're going to work to keep them free. He's going to command a double team almost all the time. The 3 technique is going to be that quicker Edric Houston. That's going to be a great pass rusher. That's going to be penetrating into that B gap. That's going to be a very disruptive player for us. That is why they bulked up Edric Houston from a defensive end and then bumped him down to 3 technique. It's honestly what I thought we could have done with Jack Sawyer as well in his career. But, those are the 2 spots that I feel very good about our first 2 guys. The reason why I feel very good about them is because if you look at our rotation last year, yeah, we played more guys, but the Ties still played probably 75 to 80% of the snaps. Okay, so if they're expecting Edric and Kayden to do that again, I think we're fine. But the issue is I don't think Edric and Kayden are able to do that because they're first-year starters. Okay, I think we're going to need some depth behind them. And so now, who's that backup nose tackle? Who's that backup nose guard? I don't know, right? I just don't know. We have bodies, we have bigger guys, but we just don't know who it is. You brought up the idea of we have 3 technique bodies. We've got Jarquez Carter, right? This true freshman that's come in who can play. I think he's going to get meaningful reps as a true freshman. Hard guy to keep off the field. We've got Will Smith Jr., a smaller guy who's going to be disruptive, going to be quick with his first step. We've got Jason Moore. Jason Moore is a great pass rush, bull rush, long arm guy. He's a bigger guy. Can he provide us some depth at nose tackle? We know he can provide depth as a 3 technique. We've got Tywan Malone. Tywan Malone's probably a better 3 technique than he is a nose guard, but he's a bigger body. Can he help us as that nose guard? And so you can see where that issue comes. We got Eric Mensah. Eric Mensah's a bigger guy. Can he provide some depth as that nose guard? That nose guard position is where we are lacking trust in who can provide that depth behind Cade McDonald. And so that is where the concern comes. We talked about the big guy, Kirkland, that transferred from Oklahoma State and went to BYU. That was the perfect body type to be that depth piece behind Cade McDonald. Big, 6'4", 330-pound, just monster, not just hard to move. We don't have another one of those big bodies on the roster. And so what does that look like for us moving forward? I just don't know. Numbers-wise, we're fine. Numbers-wise, we are good. But who is that backup nose guard? I just don't know. Guys that we need to step up, and we've said it, we're a broken record. Jason Moore, you got to step up. We need you. Talent through the roof. You've put on the weight. You've done all those things. That is a guy that the Buckeyes really need to step up and show us. He could be a guy that could be that depth piece as a nose tackle. We think he could be that guy as 3 technique as well. Eric Mensah, need you to step up. Right, those are the guys that we're going to need to count on. Right, Jarquez Carter, you got to be able to provide us some meaningful reps. So that Tywan Malone, now is your time. You got to be able to give us some meaningful reps. And so, just a lot of unproven guys that I just don't know if they can do it yet. Obviously, we trust Coach Johnson. We trust his coaching staff. We believe that they're going to go get it done. We're always going to bet on our players. But there is just a lot of question marks. We don't know if there's going to be a grad transfer that pops up. We just don't know any of that stuff. But there are some questions. There are some concerns. But Coach Day, he said it the best, man. We're not just going to go add people to add people. It's got to be a clear upgrade. And if it's not, then we're going to go coach the you-know-what out of our guys and make sure that they're ready to go. And I love that. I love that because if I'm a player and I know there's concerns – I love the fact that our coach is like, hey, there's nobody out there that's better than what we have right now. So I'm betting on my guys. If I'm a player, I'm like, well, heck yeah, I'm going to go play for that guy. And so we just need guys to step up. And so that's just a quick rundown of what the difference is between the two positions and kind of what we have there. I'm working on a quick like scholarship grid position by position spreadsheet I'd like to share on our social media so people can kind of see preliminary, it's just some depth chart stuff. And so I'd like to get that out here in the next week or so. But that's just kind of where we are on the defensive line, especially on the interior. And man, we just got to get that figured out, man. That's one of my only concerns on that defense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, with what you said about, the ties, Ty Hamilton being more of a 3-tech body, Jarquez Carter is strong enough. He came in at 285, let's say, and I don't know what he's up to now. But if you get Jarquez Carter to, let's say, 300, by fall, or 310 even more, and as strong as that kid is, okay, now you have a serviceable backup. Because you do still want them. There's a place for a nose guard with twitch.
Oh, absolutely.
But at the same time, they really need to eat that second block.
They do.
So it'll be interesting to see. We're still I think, what did I see today? 17 Saturdays.
Yeah.
I think. So I can't believe it's getting that close. Speaking of getting that close, total sidebar. We are 2 episodes away from number 100.
Are we really?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
When you count like every video we've done, not just opening drives.
Yeah.
But yeah, this should be episode 98 in total.
Holy crap.
Yeah, so we might have to try to call in some favors or something. Get a big gun for that one.
Yeah, look at us.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm glad that you hit on Coach Day his press conference. Because that's kind of the last thing we wanted to dive into. There were a couple of things Coach Day talked about that are kind of important. Obviously, the big ones, quarterbacks, we'll get there. But Austin Saraveld will start somewhere. Okay, call your shot, Coach Day. We were talking before we came on here about what does that look like, though. I mean, I feel like 3 of the 5 spots are cemented.
Yeah.
But you kind of had my wheels spinning. So let's just say Ethan Onilanwa will start at one of the tackle spots.
Yeah.
I still think left. But you kind of had me thinking maybe it would be right. But I just think to get a kid like that to come here, his whole plan was to become more NFL ready. And we all know where the money makers are on the offensive line. And then obviously I don't see any way, shape, or form our guy Luke doesn't start.
Yeah.
And then Carson Hensman starting.
Yeah, I agree. I think Onion was I think he's gonna make a lot of money regardless of what tackle he plays. And the NFL is gonna put you where they want to put you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You look at, and it's maybe a terrible example because he did not pan out with the Browns, but Jed Wills was a right tackle his whole entire college career. Browns moved him to left tackle, and he started for however many years. Now, obviously, he was not the best starter at left tackle, but the NFL will put you where they want to put you. So I think the Buckeyes will just look at it as what's going to put us in the best position to win. I think Saraveld has just been an iron Buckeye. He's really shown what it takes to be position, versatile, and I think he's just got the athleticism to do multiple things. And so for Coach Day to come out and said that, man, that or come out to say that means a lot, to Saraveld, and then what the work that he's put in, man. And so that's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's be honest, as much of a question mark as the O-line was last year at this time, I don't think it's a question mark at all now. So whatever combination, way, shape, form this thing looks like come August 30, come November against the team up north, whatever, I think we're fine.
Yeah.
And then obviously the big one, he hit the quarterback battle. Kind of surprised to hear him say that Lincoln led going into the spring game. I know you're not because you were at practice.
Yeah.
Now, is this coach speak? Who knows?
Yeah, like you said, being at practice, you could kind of see that Lincoln was kind of. But the one thing I will say, you can't deny Julian's command of the huddle really impressed me in practice. And so I just think Julian's a gamer. Well, it'll be interesting to see how it continues to transpire. But that was the first time I really saw Coach Day just come out and flat out say that. Like
Yeah.
typically he just kind of like plays it really close to the vest, but like he just, I don't know, Julian pulled ahead. Like I was really shocked to hear him say that. And so I think Coach Day winning the Natty, he put that ring on his finger and he's just like, yeah, I can just let it fly a little bit more now. I've got some clout. And so, hey man, like I like it, and it's good to hear, and it kind of just lets the guys know where they stand, and I think that's a good thing. So it's a good battle. It's a good battle. I think we've got two really good options.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see what happens.
Yep.
Obviously camp will start the first week of August, give or take. And, we'll hear 318 different things. There's been some changes. Obviously, like we've said, when we do this, we're just doing this for fun. We're not part of the beat.
No.
The beat has experienced some massive changes in the last couple weeks. So I'll be interested to see what that kind of info looks like as it trickles out with Berm going to Buckeye Huddle. I would assume Austin Ward's going to join him. But, those guys are really good to listen to. Today was commencement at Ohio State.
Yeah.
And I feel like we would be remiss if we didn't give a shout out because I had no idea about this.
Yeah.
So I think you already know where I'm going.
Yeah.
Shout out to Lorenzo Styles, Jr. and Senior for getting their degrees today.
That's pretty cool, man.
Hell yeah. I mean, to get to do that with your dad, man, like,
that's pretty cool.
You're close to your dad. I was close to my dad. For both of us, that would have been cool, obviously. So shout out to those guys. But I think that kind of ties everything up for the week.
Yep.
Be sure, like we said last week, as we see the audience growing, comment on the videos, like them, and smash that subscribe button. We are definitely growing, and that was the goal of this whole thing. We knew Rome wasn't built in a day, and we're not even trying to be Rome. But we would be happy just to be like the village of Leroux or something. So, but yeah, we appreciate it as always, and crazy to think we're 2 episodes away from a hundo.
That's crazy, man.
So with that, we will see you guys next week, pending something big coming out this week.